Hello, this is Stuart Roberts, founder of Haircuts4Homeless, and welcome to the Hear Me, See Me podcast. I'm going to be talking to people who are truly inspirational to me. Some you may have heard of, and some you haven't, but you really need to hear their story. Hello, this is Stuart from Hear Me, See Me podcast. Today I've got a great guest with me. I was only with him on Monday at a wonderful new launch of a project, but we'll talk about that later on. But today I'm talking to Conor O'Brien of Flint. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on. Yeah,
no, you're welcome. Let's go straight in it. Like, for people who don't know you, a lot of people in the industry do know you, but what's where did you grow up, and what was your background, and what led you into hairdressing?
Well, I'm originally from Norwich. I moved here when I was like 8 years old, and I kind of, hairdressing wasn't even on my horizon, if I was to be totally honest with you. I wanted to be like a chef. Like my granddad was a baker, and I thought perhaps being chefing would be a good thing. I had a few jobs that I soon realised, in fact, that's the most antisocial job you could possibly think of. And I thought, right, I don't want to do that. And then, and this is the truth. What happened is I was at school in Norwich. I think it was sixth form maybe, and this guy came back from me from his lunchtime. Said, "I've just got a job in hairdressing." Like, really? Well, I thought that sounds good. I thought to myself, right, if he can do it, then I can do it. And I've always been interested in like fashion and music. And especially when it comes to like bands, like the Clash and stuff, they've all got good hair. And I thought, well, that'd be a really good thing to get into, like hair, music, fashion, all works together. So I went down to the city. I'm not sure if it was like this, but I got myself a hairdressing job in this hairdresser's called Latinga in Topshop. I soon realised that wasn't the place for me. And I then realised that you have to find, I was given some advice that you have to find the right salon for the right individual. So eventually I was lucky enough, and there's this a new hairdresser's opened up called Transformer. And it was more, I suppose, as hairdressers go, it was quite a modern looking hairdressers. There's something interesting about it. It was opened up by these two guys, one from a local successful hairdressers and another guy that had his own business in the area. And they called it Transformer. And it was after the Lou Reed album. Right. And they opened up this small, a really small little 2-3-seater place in Norwich. We worked there, and it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I found the right place for me. I was, and they kind of moved, and it got a bit bigger, and I was getting a bit more confident. I was going up and down to London a lot to see bands and stuff, and I was spending quite a lot of time there. I thought, actually, I think now's the time to leave. And I'd only been doing 2.5 years in hairdressing at the time. Right. And they wanted me to stay, obviously, because, when you've worked for an assistant, in your mind, you want them to work on the floor and to stay with you.
Yeah.
And I got my first job in the Great Gear Market on the King's Road. I worked there for maybe a year or so, and then then I discovered new places, and it was a cool place where I worked. That was good. And then I went to work at this hairdresser called D-Mop.
Right.
D-Mop was owned by a guy called John Egan. It was on Upper James Street. And he was very much into interiors and the way things looked. And they had these fantastic kind of old 1930s barber chairs in there. And the interior is nothing like I've seen before. And it was just quite rough and ready, but it was really cool. Yeah. And some great haircutters there as well, really good people. Some guys from Sicilian, they'd moved on up into there where they'd done all the training there, and it was a good time in life, really. And then downstairs in the basement, they had it's where Tom Dixon used to be part of this group of people called New Side Waste, and they used to make lots of furniture, or used to put big parties on, and they were in the basement of the salon.
Right.
So that was great, and I worked there for a number of years, and used to get like really great people coming in. Like, I remember one time we were playing Big Audio Dynamite, and Mick Jones from the Clash came in, and it's just moments like, it was great, and like, we just had lots of interesting people, and like it was a good time. And I suppose Soho at the time was going around maybe its second incarnation at the time.
Yeah.
And it was good. And then after that, I decided that I wanted to. I felt it was time for me to leave the salon, and I was thinking, where do I go? I don't know where to go. And I thought, I know, I'm going to go see if I can get a job in a clothes shop. And so I worked at Paul Smith for about maybe a year or so.
Really?
That was really good. That was great. Built some really good contacts up there, and like saw things differently. I really like Paul Smith and the way he operates, and his vision, and how he has lots of interests and lots of other things. And then quickly, I worked there for a bit and for a couple of years, and then I worked at this little hairdressers on Compton Street called Jack's, and it was like a cool little barber shop. And I won't ramble on, but then basically after that, I went to work at a salon called the Fourth Floor. And the Fourth Floor was run by this fantastic guy called Richard Stepney. And Richard was, he was in partnership with a guy called Peter Smith as well. And Peter was, he does lots of session work, and he did lots of music for the Paul Smith fashion shows. So there's lots of different little things going on there. So they brought Richard was at Sassoons. So he brought them along so they could do women's hair. And then Richard renamed the Fourth Floor. So that's when I went and worked for him.
Yeah.
And that he changed me as a hairdresser, no shadow of a doubt. His technique. He's such a talented haircutter. So I really admire the guy. I still do to this day. He's a great businessman. He's very creative. He's a really caring bloke. He really looks after his staff. And it was in this amazing place. And if anyone, perhaps people might have seen it, it's just definitely worth going to look at. It's on the Northington Street, just off the Grayson Road. We've got a third and fourth floor of an old factory building. It used to be like they used to make film projectors there.
Right.
So you wouldn't even know it's there. So it was kind of the first one of those studio hairdressers.
Yeah.
But he taught me a lot. And then I was there all in all for like 21 years.
21 years?
Yeah. And then on the 19th year of those 21 years, I moved back to Norwich.
Yeah.
And I opened Flint with my wife. And we opened up in a very small salon, like 3 seats, and then a slightly bigger one. And to where we are now, we're in like sort of central Norwich on Upper Goat Lane. And it's sort of like down these back streets, and we've got like a 3-floor building. So it has overtones to very much to when the 4th floor.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy here. We've got like a great team. We've got a mixture of like mostly employed staff.
Yeah.
We have like 3 apprentices, 1 trainee who's finished her apprenticeship. So we really kind of believe in training our young staff to come through, and I especially it's a different subject, but there's a lot of subjects talking about employed, self-employed, and I think it's gonna be hard. It's only going to get harder for the employed, the whole employed thing.
Yeah,
but it's just going to get trickier. Like where are these young people going to train? But that is a different subject. So we're here now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, back to that subject. I mean, I find it interesting because, and I don't want to upset anyone, but sometimes you have to sort of say what you think. And but I think that is the consequence of the trend, is that exactly where are the young people going to train, and where are they going to aspire to work?
Yeah,
I did something at a college, a talk at a college. And I just getting to know you session at the beginning, and I just said, sort of, hands up, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. And I said, who's going to work in a salon? And there was just a couple. And like I said, who's gonna go straight to being a freelance hairdresser? And they sort of nearly all put their hand up.
Yeah.
Which I'm not. That's just what I saw, So, and I do wonder, as you say, where are they going to train? What is the end of it? And there's so many sort of almost like hairdressers becoming landlords, like where it's just a sort of like they're renting out chairs, and there's, how do you keep that team going? Because I had a salon for 30 years, and right up to the end, we employed everyone. Only I would say, I'm not saying I wouldn't have done it, because the whole world has changed and the market's changed, and people do what they do to survive. But yeah, it's a question, isn't it? Like
it's like, obviously a lot of it comes down to like financial. There's a financial emphasis there, isn't there? Like where it is true, if you're self-employed, you can earn money, quicker if you like. Obviously after the first year it might be a different subject, or you keep your earnings below being VAT registered. So that's obviously I can, I'd be alive to say that I can't see the temptation of being self-employed, or intents purpose. I'm self-employed. It's just that me and myself, Rothio, I run the business with, we made a decision that we wanted to employ people, but it is getting harder, and I think I can't quite, I know there's a lot of social media about it, and I know someone was just saying it's kind of maybe the industry has got a little bit selfish. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm out saying that, but I just think it's like people make their own decisions, and I think that's absolutely fine. Yeah, everyone does their own thing for that. If that's what they want to do, then they should be able to do that. Yeah. But I think also there's the way I think about it is that, like, I've always thought about is how was I trained? I was trained by like my peers who used to, who trained me up, and then I've had good opportunities to go on training courses and stuff, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? So. But hopefully, I know some. I'd be interested to see what other people do, because I know there are lots of self-employed salons, and they do employ maybe one or two apprentices. But also, those apprentices need to be trained, don't they? So then you need to come up with some sort of like system where, people don't lose our money, and
no.
we do pay our staff obviously when they teach, and
yeah.
But
the days have changed, haven't they? I mean, even it's that thing of you was ostracised if you didn't go to training evening, and no one got paid. It was one of those things. But I'm going back. I'm a dinosaur, so I'm going back a long, long time.
But it's something that we've done. I mean, in a whole sense of like how being together, that's kind of a recent thing. But we have 3 self-employed people here. And I totally get why they're self-employed.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting few years, isn't it? Because hairdressing itself has changed so much since the pandemic. And I used to do a lot of work with Alan Austin Smith at the Fantastic Hairdresser, and I remember him saying a long, long time ago, well before all of this happened, and that the future would lay in top end and bargain basement.
Yeah, that's right.
People that would struggle would be the people in the middle ground, which I really think we're seeing to a fruition now. Is that it's either bums on seats, lots and lots of clients if possible, or barbers. I think that's the power of barbering that's really escalated, or the top end high service. Value salon. But I think the ones in the middle are really going to struggle over the next few years.
I think you're dead right. I was talking to my wife about this, and that's exactly what she says. Well, she's been on a sort of business course, and that's exactly what they're saying. And it's about the 2 ends and providing that experience, isn't it, on the higher end, and then the lower end is more. It just be more practical.
Yeah.
Well, but I kind of. But I think the pandemic obviously has changed so much, isn't it? It's like it's unbelievable, really.
I know, it's funny that we've just so quickly forgotten, and you know, and I look back and I keep seeing these pictures of me all masked up and, you know, like, and that first venturing out into the home, you know, especially with what I was doing in the homeless stuff.
Right.
And, you know, it was just, you think how quickly we forget, you know, and it was flipping scary, wasn't it? I mean, that's what I think we forget. But then the first few months, it was so scary of really what on earth is, you know, it was like living in a horror film, you know, like for a few months there. But it's so good to see so many businesses thriving and moving forward, because that's the important thing, you know, like it's such a special industry. And I think that's the thing with when did you, was it Colourworld when we first met, when I'd done that talk to about 4 people?
It was the first, It was the first Colourworld that we went to, and like we came to hear you talk, and I was really sort of taken back by what you were saying, and because, you know, I think as you know, I think everyone can like relate to, you know, seeing so much homelessness around and not almost kind of being helpless and don't know what to do, and like obviously that's how you started Haircuts for Homeless, because you wanted to kind of give back. And I just thought it was such a very just a genius idea. I just thought, well, that's perfect, isn't it? It's like such a great thing, and like and to make it kind of more, because I think, you know, not to be so judgmental as well about like situations, and you know, like on Monday when you came up, I was, excuse me, what I'm noticing is like the first one that I did, you came up for, and that was street homeless, and just seeing lots of different types of homelessness, and like obviously mental health, and like the different types of people that come to these services. It's like it isn't one particular person. I know you always hear that, but it's always kind of a real serious eye opener when you actually see that for yourself.
I mean, the first one we did that I came up for, unfortunately, it didn't run, did it? Because there's a few challenges, you know. But it was a great place. I loved what they were doing there, but it was very frontline stuff.
Yeah, it was big time.
You know, and that's the thing. You see people in a raw state, street homeless, and then you start to realise that there's so many more problems, and people realise just about alcohol, drugs. There's so many mental health issues with people, and it's. I think in the 80s, didn't they say making it care in the community? They was putting people out in the community, but they dropped the care off, so just chuck them in the community and let them get on with it.
It's quite shocking. So so when I saw you do that, I thought, well, that's brilliant. You know, great.
You was great. Like, this is a lesson to team leaders out there, because there's only this big charity of ours is really tiny, and there's only me and my sister run it. And sometimes we get people contact us and they say, you know, we want to get involved and that. And if they don't hear within 3 hours, they're chasing us saying, no, we haven't heard nothing yet. You know, we're a tiny charity, like trying to do big things. But we love persistence, and you was one of those persistent ones who kept at us, and, you know, like, and I knew you'd end up doing it, you know, because you're passionate about it as well.
I think the one thing that I was never gonna give up. You know, I'm quite determined about, if you want to do something, you must do it, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that I was really shocked by actually was, you know, the first one we set up in Norwich, you know, it was reasonably straightforward, because I knew Scott, who was like, you know, the kind of director of like the feed, and they supplied the food to the centre where we were doing the work, doing the haircuts. So that was, but then after that, obviously, when it was like it didn't work out for various reasons, more for staffing, because obviously we have to have someone there when we're doing the haircuts for the whole boundary's sake for everyone. And so, but then after that, it was like a really drawn out procedure of like trying to contact people, waiting for people to get in contact back with me, and then almost finding a place, and then dealing with other situations there. But hopefully now, because we've got like a place, and just have to work with them really and see what they can provide.
Lovely place. I mean, I as I've said, I travel all over the UK and see all different types of places, and you know, so I'm not sort of easily impressed anymore. But I was really, really impressed on Monday with Under One Roof, it's called.
Under One Roof, yeah.
Yeah, and I loved it. It's that you get an energy when you walk in somewhere a lot of the time. And it had a lovely sort of feel-good, happy energy. A lot of the team who worked there, they was, right up and bubbly. The lovely lady was cooking a jacket potatoes. She come and made us welcome when we got in, and yeah. And but there was quite it was a great session, by the way. So nice and busy as well. Listened to other presenters. They didn't leave us on their own. They had people with us, and it was, they'd watched the video that we said that we do need certain things, like someone with us and the right type of room and a cup of tea and biscuits. We even got that as well. But
they were really good. They were really good about that, weren't they?
Yeah, that was great. But it was what a cross section of guests we had,
Yeah, exactly. That's what for me that was the. No, I spoke to the lady you just talking about, and she said, "Yeah, we get a cross section," and I was really taken back. The cross section, like the guy you cut, wasn't he?
He was a genetic engineer, and he went at Cambridge.
That's it.
And he was the same. He was a year older than me, so we sort of got chatting about things. Very, very intelligent man, and. Yeah, he just blew me away. And we was talking about, I said, what was it like then? Because when he was a genetic engineer, and he said, like, we was looking at sort of microbes and different things now. And now they're actually he was pre the DNA links and things. So they was just doing that on a really basic level. So what he must see them doing now, it's incredible. Now you don't expect people's general outlook. People who know nothing about homelessness and that we learn as we go along is that they, incredible people in bad circumstances.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there was another lad, another man that I'm not sure. He was quite really eloquent.
Yeah.
He was a maths teacher and maths and physics teacher.
He was, yeah. Very serious. He was very serious about things, wasn't he?
He was, and business as well. I think, he was like, I was thinking, wow. And then and I think he goes almost. He was really pleased to tell me that he wasn't really needing the services there. I think he did. I think he enjoyed. I think he got a lot from going there still. But he was he now runs maths lessons there and helps with their budgets and things like that.
Yeah.
There's another lad who is now not needing a set, but he's still staying there, and he helps with their events, and he does all stage events. And
I remember him. Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We often find out, and I think it's so lovely when we go for these sessions and we find someone who's on the other end of it, where they've been in a really needed to be a service user, and they've come through the whole program, but they're still linked to it. Even if they've moved on, they're still linked to it and coming back and helping.
Yeah, and I think they want to give something back, don't they?
Yeah.
And there was this one guy. I don't know if you noticed him. He was just describe. He was like, he's a really interesting fellow, and probably similar age to me, but probably a bit older actually. And he was like, he said, "Oh, what do you do?" He said, "Yeah, I spin old punk." And I was going, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, in Norwich as well." And I was thinking, "Oh, right, okay." And he said, "Oh, yeah, I remember hanging out with the Sex Pistols in the car park." I went, "Really? Okay." But then he said to me, and then I kind of got a bit excited about it. And he said, "No, I have to calm down. I have to calm down." And he's sort of putting his arms up. He's got this technique of calming himself down. And he had a carer next to him who's helping him.
Oh, yeah, I know the guy. Yeah.
But even he said, and that was wonderful. It was he just said, "Well, I've never had anyone touch my head and have that personal kind of human touch."
Yeah.
And he said that in the state he was in,
Yeah. Yeah, he had very complex needs, and he was sort of quite agitated at points, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
But from the surface, he would be the kind of person who would scare people off and wouldn't want to approach him, But he had a carer or someone helping him when he sort of coming down.
Yeah.
And I did chuckle because you always get them, didn't you? You're like a magnet for the complex needs. It's all Conor. If we've got a real strong complex needs person, they're going to go straight for Conor.
Yeah, that does happen.
But
I personally, I suppose what happens is, you like, say for instance, okay, so, I shared on social media, and I sometimes do that. I do that for the bigger picture, because obviously it's good for people to know what you're doing, but also it's good for the charity. But then also it's kind of, but also I felt like, it was quite overwhelming about that, because that almost wasn't doing it for. It's a hard way to describe what I mean, but it's don't know. It's a funny one, mixing the two together, isn't it? Do you think? Or
what, of sharing? Yeah. I actually do get quite a lot of flack about it sometimes. That because there's that thing of a really good turn isn't shown off about, and it's that, and it's, I try and say it, but it's not that. We're not Instagram, we're not selfieing with what we're doing. We're sharing the impacts of what we do, and also we're sharing and giving a voice and a vision to the people who are unseen and unheard. And
exactly.
We are strictly, now Blinda's great at her job. She's very, very careful about, we only take images of people who are willing and able to have their image taken. And it's important to us. But the thing that, we've had Jakeem, our book that we've got, the Hear Me, See Me book, Jakeem's followed us for 2 years. And there were times when I said to him, look, you're going to come all this way. I don't think there was a particular time he came all the way to Peterborough with us, and it was street working girls. And I said, I don't think these girls are going to want to. I judged. And I said, I don't think it might be worth your while. And he said, I'll come along, even if I get one. It's great, it's Jakeem's. And he came along and he did it. Virtually all of them not only agreed, they thoroughly loved it. They really loved being, like the centre of attention. And we got some amazing pictures, because they could show their authentic self.
Yeah.
The real person that they are. And it's, so I understand how many of our volunteers, team leaders, sometimes think, I don't want to put too much on here about it. But unless it's something that's not right, there's so many more things that we have that people don't see. All the women's refuges and things like that, safe houses that we go and do that we don't do anything of. It's nice to be able to show people that these are real people.
Yeah.
Are real. My guy on Monday, the guy with all the tattoos, what a lovely man, a lovely gentle.
He's like, everyone knows
him. You, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's everyone knows him in Norwich. He's kind of a bit of a face around the city.
Yeah.
I've always, when I see him walking about, he's got like a real style to him. Yeah. Like normally, apparently he used to hang around with the punks when we were younger, and I never remember him. He's like, he's got a real kind of certain, like, quite often he'll he walks like that. He'll often have like this like little sailor's hat on. He's got the gold chain, and he like really kind of thinks about the way he looks. And he's an interesting guy, and he's a nice fella. I mean,
really nice. And it's so respectful, so grateful. I had a really good chat with him, and on the surface, someone would probably not. It would probably cross the street, I would say. But I had a great time there.
He's normally quite drunk as well, and he has that kind of, like, I think he might have had some sort of stroke or something where he's left that injury where he limps. But I remember one time I saw him in the street, and it was when I had a shop just around the corner, and he dropped his beer on the floor, and at the time there was still traffic going up and down it, and I was thinking, shit, he's gonna like. So I picked his beer up, because otherwise it was gonna, like, some car was gonna come down and like.
Yeah.
I handed the beer back to him, and he was like, it was very sweet,
I'm an alcoholic. You don't give up your beer lightly.
No, exactly. You can tell, he wasn't going to give up.
Let that go. Actually, I need to trim my beard, because I'm looking more like him at the moment.
Yeah. I like your new haircut. That's good.
Thank you. Yeah, just need to sort the beard out now. But everyone got really good, and I think the good thing about doing the other side of social media, and I heard Blinda being,
when she's explaining to a client the other day, customer guest, and explaining this like really helps. This, you know, if you're okay with it, it really helps the charity and helps us be able to do more. Because especially in here with the like we're doing we've joined the ambassador scheme as well, and like quite often people, you know, want to be able to donate, and then if they actually see what's going on and see what you're actually doing, you know, they're much more likely to do so.
Yeah, I mean, we really appreciate that. I mean, funny enough, I've done a Zoom yesterday to Jane's team in Southampton, and it's something we're doing for ambassadors now. That just because it's people haven't, it's not they haven't got to have it, they don't want it, but it makes a change for a team meeting. Team meetings can be a bit steamy, and you know, get the old homeless bloke in, and he'll talk about that, or you know, by Zoom. And it's just to get the whole team involved and behind it, because the thing about the salon thing and getting it out into salons as yours is the whole team can get behind it, even the ones that can't come along and volunteer, and that sows the seed in them young minds that there's more to life than just the surface of things, and maybe then they can come along and do it at a later stage.
I did actually speak this about Rothio, and I think we're going to take you up on that offer, because I think it'd be a really interesting thing to do, so people that can understand, you know, like we do, like, you know, we work with certain companies, they'll come and explain the new products and stuff, and people get quite a lot from it. So I think that'd be a really good idea.
Yeah, and it's open to everyone who's in the ambassador program. Yesterday's one was about half an hour. And I just told them a bit more about what we do and why we do it, and also they asked me some questions, and it went really well. So,
brilliant.
Yeah. So you're going to keep going now, then, my friend?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't. It's funny enough. One of my clients said to me, you know, because we were talking about it all, and she said that, you know, you can still. I said, yeah, absolutely, and still do it. You know, it's not like, you know. I think what's worth remembering as well is that. It's a circular thing, you know. It's not just. I can only speak for myself, and I'm sure other people feel the same. I'm sure you do. It's like when you go and do this, it's not like you're doing it to be this like kind of angel martyr, you know. Like I'm gonna change everything. You do it because you get something from it yourself, and that's really apparent every time. Only in the 2 occasions that I've done it, I've really got something from it, and it's more, you know, more. Education on that, how different types of people are affected by homelessness or mental health, and you know, that's what I've learned this week. So, you know, it's I personally know I get a lot from it, and you know, I really like talking to people, and I like talking to different types of people, and like finding out about them. And so, you know, as you said, that guy walking down the street, you know, I don't want to feel nervous about walking past someone who's acting a bit oddly. Now I can understand a little bit more why they might be like that, and then I can tell my clients, I can tell my kids. You know, there's a couple like where we are in Norwich. We're down a little alleyway, a lane, which it's more the back end of shops. There's a couple of businesses down here, so there's a couple who actually are living in the doorway of St. Martin Housing Trust.
Right.
So St. Martin Housing Trust, the guys who run under one roof. And they're there, and and I feel, what can I do? Okay, so I buy them a hot chocolate every now and again, and they have like 4 sugars. I go, 4 sugars? One is 3, one is 4 in the hot chocolate. And, you know, and we have a little chat and stuff. And half the time, I think that's what's worth remembering as well. You know, people just want to communicate. They just want to chat. They want to feel like they're not a burden, and just be able to chat to someone else, because it's very lonely to see on the street on your own, or even with, in his case, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I don't spend ages, just wave, you know, fancy a drink, how you doing?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, we're going to stay here until we get accommodation.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but
that's sort of taking action, isn't it? Yeah.
And he told me that what was he? He was a motocross rider. He'd had some injuries. He showed me his injuries on his back. And I said, that's probably why he's on the street, because he couldn't pay his bills or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we see that a lot, and it's only going to get more so now in today's society.
Yeah.
Well, Conor, thank you so much. I won't have too long on here because I know you've very generously given me your lunch hour.
Oh, mate. I felt honoured to do it, to be totally honest with you. So
that's fantastic.
I can, I hope it's been interesting, and like I said, I do tend to warble a little bit or go off course.
No, it has been interesting because the thing is, we travel all that way, we do our thing, we maybe get a coffee, but we don't really get a time to chat. So, and I love doing these because often it's like, I'm fascinated to hear the backstory of someone who I actually quite know really, I know really well now, but, and I think it's great. Your story of when you went through and you're going, it's opposite to mine. I stayed where I was, and I stayed in a small pond, and I did what I did. And I'd advocate to a lot of people what you did, I think, is to go out to the world and be a sponge and pick up from all them different type of places. And I think that's a great way to do it. So
you do that if you want to do it. It's like I know plenty of people who stayed here in Norwich.
Yeah.
But my daughter's just about to go. My daughter's just about to go to university, and she's like quite a quiet little thing, and she just picks up stuff, and she's going to go to London and do whatever. But it's not it's not a problem. But I personally couldn't wait to get away.
Yeah.
There was this whole world out there. I just wanted, but it's kind of it's kind of, and I guess you're kind of lucky because you're near London anyway. So
we were sort of it was too comfortable. I was too comfortable. Anyway, it's all worked out all right. It always does.
Absolutely, yeah. And actually, one thing I will add is that I actually met my wife. She was my one of my clients. So there you go.
All right.
She's very much responsible for all the business and how it runs now. We wouldn't have the business if it wasn't for us.
I had to go all the way to Greece and on a beach to find my wife.
Yeah.
Turned out she was only from Dagenham anyway. On that note, we'll wrap it up. Thanks so much for your time, and I can't wait to come back and see you all again up there.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure, and thanks for asking today. And you have my word, be soldiering on here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to.
I know that.